Hey, everybody. Got my New York friends here. Derek is spinning. I don't know what happened to Derek there, but hopefully he'll pop back in. Thought it would be really interesting to talk about everything New York, real estate wise, right? I'm learning so much about New York, and I have personally have so many clients coming in here from New York, and thought it would be real interesting to learn about all the different areas of New York and how Derek is still spinning, and how they are different among themselves. So, real quickly, talk to me about the real estate market in New York. And one thing I've learned being on this phone call with y'all a few minutes early was that all your different areas are all very different, even with how you do contracts within New York. So, when we're talking real estate, if y'all could kind of tell me what is your average price point? What does your inventory look like? And what are your average days on the market? And we'll just go in order, starting with Colleen.
Hi, I'm Colleen Collier. I'm from the Buffalo, Niagara region. So I cover Buffalo, Niagara Falls within about an hour of those two cities. I do not go to Rochester. I go about halfway to Derek's area in Rochester.
Well, 1 second, Colleen, I'm going to interrupt you because I changed it. Before we talk about real estate, tell me about your area. Why would somebody move to Buffalo?
Okay. Sure. Yes, it snows, but we know how to deal with it. Like I was on vacation in South Carolina. Schools were closed for 3 days because of 6 inches of snow. Maybe schools would have been closed for 1 day in New York. Like we have the equipment. We know how to deal with it. Just stay in your house. Usually they're insulated, well built, it's warm. So don't be intimidated by the snow. Also, I can tell you where there's a little bit less snow and still be in Buffalo because we have kind of distinctive weather patterns that are traditional.
Yeah, and I learned that you're super close to Niagara Falls, right?
Correct. Yeah. So I cover both. I live 20 minutes to Niagara Falls, 20 minutes to the city of Buffalo. I am probably 25 minutes to 4 international border crossings to Canada. So we do have Canadians that will live in the US and still work in Canada. Usually like one person in the family is a US citizen, like in a partnership, and the other one is Canadian, or they'll have family that's in Canada but married an American, so they want to live in the US for jobs usually. We have a lot of people moving back to the area. Like I'm calling them the bounce backers. Like they've moved away, maybe people of my generation, my age group, and now they're moving back because their parents need help and they want to be closer to family. And with remote work, you can live anywhere in so many jobs. So I think that's bringing people to move to Buffalo. And we have a great sense of community. Go Bills. And like people help each other out. Like if it is a bad snowstorm, your neighbors are going to help you out. Like we're the city of good neighbors. I know a lot of cities say that, but I can prove we are. So yeah,
Colleen, I know you would be.
Yeah, we don't have the extreme temperature. We've also never been 100 degrees recorded temperatures at our.
But you have extreme in the opposite direction.
Well, but then you just stay in your house, but the kids will still go to school. Like. And yeah, maybe it snows for a couple of days, but again, we have the equipment to clean the roads. Sorry, Jennifer, North Carolina, South Carolina, they don't know what to do.
No, we don't. Yeah, we don't have extreme temperatures.
Yeah, you guys are good in that. So Buffalo is a great place and affordable.
And then how far is Buffalo from Sia? How far are y'all apart?
So
8 hours.
About 8 hours.
Oh, wow.
I'm about maybe 5.5 to Rich in the Hudson Valley, and Derek and I are about 1 hour and 15 apart.
Okay, wow. So, Sia, tell me about Brooklyn. I feel like I know a little bit about Brooklyn.
So with Brooklyn here, we're seeing a lot of people want to move actually into Brooklyn that want to experience the culture, the diversity, and we also have a lot of opportunities with jobs. So Brooklyn, overall, the whole city, it's the proximity to transportation and how long it takes you to get to Manhattan. So like people have, the prices will be like millions of dollars difference in Brooklyn if you're close to Manhattan. The wonderful thing about Brooklyn, I don't know if you guys know this, we did just put a congestion pricing for the cars. There's too much traffic, but you could basically go anywhere from Brooklyn to the Bronx or anywhere for $3, less than $3 with our trains.
What did you call it? You put in
you could go anywhere. Like I've been to other parts of the country where you have to pay as far as you go on transportation. But here you could take buses and trains and it only costs you one fare. So people really, it is inexpensive to commute back and forth to work. So if you move to the suburbs, you're going to pay more money to get back into the city.
Uh,
I think Jennifer, I'm sorry. I think Jennifer was asking about congestion pricing.
yeah.
Oh, I'm
congestion,
sorry.
that word, I never heard
Congestion.
of it.
That's a new thing that they just started. So if you go into Manhattan, because a lot of people don't want to take subways and buses, so they drive to work. If you go into Manhattan, certain parts of Manhattan, you have to pay $9 extra, and it just came about in January.
That's if you drive a car.
If you drive a car. If you drive a car. So now what you see, I actually when you go into the city, there's much less traffic.
Ah, nice. Well, good.
So it is working. But I don't think I would do that. I think I would probably drive instead of taking a train. Our average price point in Brooklyn, South Brooklyn, is about $1 million. And I see a lot of people from all over the world that want to live here. And they're moving into like the younger they are, they're moving like Bed-Stuy, Bushwick. But like we have so many communities for everybody to feel comfortable. I think that's the biggest,
Yeah, but that price point, wow. $1 million is your average, not a first-time home buyer.
South Brooklyn. South Brooklyn, yeah. North Brooklyn, Brownstone, Brooklyn, you're talking way more than that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they're getting, and we are way different from Buffalo. In weather-wise, I think that our weather is perfect. I mean, we had 3 inches of snow. I mean, we don't get much. I mean, it is a cold spell, but overall, we don't get too hot or too cold in the city.
Okay, nice. So tell me about you, Derek. Rochester. Tell me all about Rochester. Why move to Rochester?
I think Derek's having technical difficulties.
Okay, we're going to skip
text him?
Derek. Can Derek not hear us? We'll skip Derek.
Sorry, I feel like I'm cutting out my Wi-Fi.
Yeah, tell us about you.
Rochester is home to the Finger Lakes, which we have about 12 Finger Lakes, which is an awesome wine.
Oh, you went out. So then, do you get the lake
What's
snow
that?
effect?
So the Finger Lakes don't generate the lake snow, it's the Great Lakes.
Oh, okay, fair.
Which is Lake Ontario and part there and part of my area and Lake Erie.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, got you, Derek. No, not anymore. Okay, Rich, tell us about. We'll come back to Derek. Sorry, Derek.
Let's talk about the Hudson Valley. I'm an hour north of New York City, so we have West Point Military Academy. Everybody knows West Point.
Beautiful. It's gorgeous up
The
there.
Hudson Valley, lots of great things to do. Wineries and hiking trails. Woodbury Commons Premium Outlets, which is the largest outlet center in the country,
Wow.
is right there. People come from China just to go there. They have trips. But we have a lot of most of my buyers. A lot of my buyers are coming from Brooklyn. They can't afford $1 million home.
Yeah.
They're coming from Manhattan and the Bronx and Queens, Long Island, and they're doing a commute to New York City.
So you said it's what, an hour and a half commute?
It's about an hour and 15, and then an hour to an hour and 15 to get to the city, and then of course they have to get to where they have to go. So yeah,
Another hour and a half.
Yep.
Wow, I couldn't imagine commuting.
Average, the price point right now between $500 and $600, but we're very low on inventory.
Okay, and that's the same thing that Sia was saying too. What is your average price point, Colleen?
So the average price point right now in December was $296,000. The median price was $250,000. So it can vary, depending on exactly where you're purchasing. Zillow recently rated Buffalo as one of the hottest markets for 2025 because
of the prices?
Because of the prices and because of the number of jobs coming in per new construction being built. We have very, very little new construction. So I think those numbers kind of are skewed based on how few new homes are being built. But Realtor.com also rated us, one of my suburbs that I cover, number 9 for affordability and commuting. So the average commute time in one of my suburbs for someone is 22 minutes with a median price in that area of $229.
Oh, wow.
And we are just that extreme lack of inventory. So we technically have a 1.4 month supply of homes, which is a 7% increase from last year, but it's really only adding from 1.3 to 1.4. So like a very, very small difference. in the same.
So you're still a seller's market.
What was that?
You're still a seller's market.
We are a strong sellers market. Multiple
Yeah.
offers are coming over asking price. Very few contingencies are getting accepted. Buyers with really strong financing. If you need to sell your home in order to buy, extremely difficult. But on the flip side, for the sellers, like if you need to sell to buy, you can get your house under contract and the buyer will give you what you need. So if you need post-closing occupancy or delayed closing, we'll do that. One of the things that's different, Derek's market and myself, is we do something called delayed negotiations. And we are separate boards, but we are the same MLS. And they require us, if we're not looking at offers right away, to publicly state that for the public to see and other realtors to see, and the sellers have to sign a form. So what we commonly do is list a home for sale maybe on a Friday, start showings on Saturday, and then not look at offers till maybe the following Wednesday or Thursday. So by advertising the house for 4, 5, 6 days, it gives everyone a chance to see it, but it gives everyone a chance to make an offer. So it's getting those multiple offers, and you don't have to worry that, oh, you're alienating someone because you didn't review their offer right away. Buyers are so used to this in our market that they're not scared off by that. So you don't lose a buyer that says, well, I'm going to go to someone else because the other person's waiting too.
Yeah, we do that. Not, is that what's called delayed negotiation?
Yeah, delayed negotiations. Yeah.
Just
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, can hear you now.
Okay,
Derek.
great. Sorry, I had Wi-Fi issues in my office, so I had to go to the conference room.
Yes, no problem. So Colleen, that delayed negotiations means that you just wait another week before you look at the offers.
Yeah, so you can look at them, you just can't accept anything. But
Yeah, we
nobody,
do that too.
most people don't submit until the last minute. There's no benefit to submitting early because no one's going to take an offer early because it's the rules. So our days on market might appear high to other markets. Like we're at 24 days on market, but that's because we're not looking at offers for a week. So you're losing day 1 to 7 automatically for most listings. And then you get a couple that sit and things like that. So our days on markets may be higher than some markets, but we're still a strong sellers market.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm going to skip over to Derek because you've had technical difficulties.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Tell us about Rochester.
So Rochester is great because we also border Lake Ontario, which is one of the 5 Great Lakes. We border, like I said, border Canada, just like Colleen does, but by water. Also, we're home to the Finger Lakes wine region, which is the second biggest wine region in the country to Napa. So our wine region and the Finger Lakes it's fantastic during the summertime. People have Airbnbs here. A lot of people from downstate, from New York City, like to come up to the Finger Lakes during the summer, during the fall, and go wine tasting, things like that. Our schools are really, really good. I love all 4 seasons because I like skiing in the winter. Like Colleen said, there's different bands here. So because we're on one of the Great Lakes, we have what you call lake effect snow, which is different than just regular snow. And it depends on like the temperature changes of the lake and where the wind comes from. But I live about 2 miles from Lake Ontario. So we catch a little bit more snow than maybe someone that's a little south. We have what you call I-90, which is like the I-90, the interstate that runs from Seattle all the way to Boston. And we always call like the thruway, the New York State Thruway, which is I-90. That's like the band. Like if you're north of it, you're getting lake effect. If you're south of it, you're not getting it. So it really kind of all depends where you live in Rochester, dependent on where that, where you reside off of the thruway. But I love it here because I'm a huge boater in the summertime. I like to downhill ski in the winter. I bowl in the wintertime. So we have indoor activities too, just as much as outdoor activities. And I golf in the summer.
Summer, I'm assuming, right? You do the wine tours?
Oh, yeah. Wine tours in the summer and the fall.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then we have a lot of golf courses. PGA Championship has been here a couple times in the last 10 years. So a lot of great golf. Just a really good place to live overall. You don't have to worry about hurricanes, tornadoes, any of those huge disastrous things.
Just snow.
We feel bad for all you guys down south and out west, but I'll take the snow any day over fires and hurricanes.
We don't have fires, but hurricanes we do have. What'd you say, Colleen?
I was gonna say snow's predictable. Like generally, 3-4 days out, you're gonna get snow. Maybe they don't know the exact number, but as long as you have like a pantry with some food in it. Like you don't have that natural disaster destruction that so many other places in the US have experienced this year. And I feel my heart breaks for them because I can't relate to some of it, but like our property is not likely to be damaged because of snow. Like that is an extreme, like maybe a barn might fall down. That's kind of rickety, you know, because of too much snow, but not usually houses.
Yeah. And then Derek, what's your price point?
250 is our price point here. Like
you're
240
similar
to
to Colleen.
250. It's fluctuated here in the last couple. We've gone up about 7% here in the last year. So usually 5 to 7% every year. The last 3-4 years has been. I always said we're behind the 8 ball in the rest of the country. Our taxes have withheld us from higher price points, and now that we are catching up, ever since COVID, everybody came here and said, "Oh my gosh, your prices are so cheap." Well, a lot of the local people are losing out to the out-of-state or the relocation buyers because they think it's a steal.
Yeah.
So we're getting into these multiple offer situations, and that's why Colleen said we do delayed negotiations. It calms everything down. You're able to organize your schedule. 12 Smith Street pops up on the MLS, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, you go out and get it, or go out there and show it." No, you don't. You got 5 days to go show it. Hey, when works best for you? All right, let's go out Saturday morning, get all our showings organized, do it all at once. You're done. You're not going out and coming in like I used to back in 2014 and 15, which it was like, oh, house goes on the market, got to fly out the door in the next couple hours to go see it to put an offer on it because I need a chance for my buyers. But now it's almost organized chaos.
Yeah. Are you personally starting to see, I mean, me personally, I'm starting to see a huge difference in listings, right? Like I'm looking at my board, my goal was to have 10 listings first quarter, and I've gotten 6 this week. Like literally.
Good. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of activity happening right now. A lot of conversations. A lot of people are prepping. I always tell people January, February is like the shock factor. People think that spring markets like March and April. Spring markets now. People are, grant money is released. First-time home buyer programs are coming out. People are having conversations. It's, that activity level just keeps on ramping up, and then these homes go for 60, 70, 80,000 over asking price, and people are like, oh my gosh, I got to put my home on the market. Well, guess what? It's because nothing is on the market right now. Everybody flocks to the same thing. We just had 35 showings on one house and 17 offers this week. It wasn't even turnkey, and it was a 1,600 square foot ranch. We listed for $220, and it went for $295.
Holy cow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So it's nice to organize the offers, kind of see, which offer is better and why. We have, we go through escalation clauses.
It pauses a second. So you have a minute, take a beat to figure out what you're doing as the buyer, and as a seller, chance to go through all the offers and understand them. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then your process, and I'm just learning now that New York is not all the same, but I do have a huge influx of New Yorkers moving here. Usually it's because our taxes are really cheaper than yours, and our weather, other than now, is usually better than yours. In that we have seasons, but we don't have extreme seasons. Usually we don't. I mean, we're not like Florida. We're not always hot. We do have the 4 seasons. They're just typically usually mild seasons. But the biggest thing is getting people to understand how different our process is from yours. So I have taken the past 2 years and tried to learn. Actually, my first New York deal was with Rich. Thank you, Rich, for the referral. I think that was like 4 years ago, maybe.
Always a pleasure.
And that was a huge learning curve for me, because I kept saying, so when do you close, Rich? And he's like, in the next 90 days. I'm like,
ours where I am and Sia, it's on or about. It just gives the buyer has all the power. It's on or about, which means that day comes, and a lot of people like yourself who thought, well, how come you're not closing this day? Well, because it's on or about. The buyer can push that by me 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Before their attorney can do anything except send a letter, time is of the essence, which could then buy them another 2 or 3 weeks. At that point, the seller has a choice: give them back their money and move on, or try to hold them. But
see, I think
it's been months already. You're gonna wait. another week because you
Right.
waited 60 days.
That's right.
Yeah, I think I mean, to me, it was really hard concept for me to understand. Another thing that the client that we had shared, I learned that I had to start prepping my clients coming from New York that you're never going to talk to our attorney until the day of closing because
Yeah.
our attorneys don't do anything except for the closing paper. I mean, they do a lot, but they don't do as much as they do for you in the very beginning. And that was a huge learning curve too for me. Right.
We do inspection first before an attorney. You have to have an attorney represent you, but we in New York City, in Brooklyn, we do inspection first, and then
Before you go
once
into contract, correct?
you
Yes.
do not go into contract, you do not exchange money. Offers are not bindable. There, you could walk away, and then once we do all that in the beginning, it could take. If you're serious, you're going to do it in a day. If it's a couple of days, a week, then you go to the lawyers.
Okay.
And until they sign, it's nothing.
Wow. And then, Colleen, do you and Derek have similar to that?
So we're similar in that.
Similar but different.
Well, we're both filling in preset forms for a contract.
Okay.
And
So
then
you fill out, say we have, like you fill out the preset forms?
I fill out a
Oh, yeah.
preset form. My forms are different than Derek's forms.
Right. But
But-
kind of like ours, we've got the fill in the blank forms.
Yeah. So I'm filling in the blank, which is then subject to a 3-day attorney approval period. Then we do home inspection and then we do deposit. So in my market, we are not putting as a buyer any money into the process until after you've agreed to terms, after the attorneys have approved it, and after you've done an inspection, if you're doing an inspection.
Wow. And see, in
So-
North Carolina, we've got the due diligence. So
Yeah.
our buyers are putting thousands of non-refundable money up front.
Yeah.
whenever
Why
they
would
go
you
into
do that though, Jen? Like, why would just to hold the property?
Yeah, so the way it reads is the due diligence period. Well, it's kind of confusing because you have earnest money and due diligence money. They are very similar in that they both come off the price of the house if you buy the house. If you terminate, that due diligence money is lost. It is a check written to the seller and it is non-refundable unless the seller decides not to sell, basically. If the
What
seller
about an inspection? Like, what if they find something like the
Money's
house is
gone.
gonna? What?
Money's gone. Mhm. It is a non-refundable check written to the seller. It is due within 24 hours of going under contract. So how it is here, like I write the contract. It's a pre-filled, you just fill in the blanks. Seller accepts. Buyer has 24 hours to give them that money, and then they do the inspections. And it's so the way it reads on the contract, that money is a right to terminate. So it says buyer, we're a buyer beware state. We recommend that you do any and all inspections. Anything that you are concerned about, you have X amount of days to do whatever you need to do. And you have the right to terminate for any reason or no reason, as long as you do so in writing. So to the seller, it's saying, seller, here's the money to keep your house off the market for the next 3 weeks while I do all the things I need to do.
And on average, how much is that?
So, well, there's not an average, right? But what we're seeing is it's about like 1% of the sales price divided between the earnest money and the due diligence money. So just for easy math, if it's $100,000 house, then it would be $500 for due diligence, $500 for earnest. It is all negotiable. There's no standard. But if it's multiple offers, when I bought my house, and there were 4 offers on my house, I put $20,000 down due diligence.
What's your average price point over there, Jennifer?
$460.
Beautiful. You must get a lot of New Yorkers like from the city because they don't want to. Like, I love being by the beaches. I love it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, probably 60% of my clients come from either New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. Starting to see some from Florida now with the taxes going so high, not taxes, insurance going so high in Florida. Starting to see some Floridians move here. But yeah, I mean, our taxes are relatively cheap. Our prices are not very bad. Now that when I say 460, that is not at a beach. If you want something at a beach, if you have water views, you're looking at $1 million. To get on Wrightsville Beach, average price on Wrightsville Beach is $2 million. But there might be 4 or 5 homes that sell at Wrightsville Beach a year. I mean, there's not a huge turnover in those beaches. So
Yeah,
then,
so our contracts, we have to have the earnest money deposit within 2 days. Attorneys have 3 days to approve the contract. So same as Colleen. But then we have mortgage contingency date, which is 2 weeks out, usually 3 weeks out. And then our target close date, like Rich said, on or about usually 40, 45 days. We've been pushing a lot of like 30-day closes lately. So the attorneys don't really like that. A lot of the old school attorneys wouldn't pull title and survey until mortgage was approved, because they didn't want to spend the money. Back in the day, they didn't want to spend the money knowing it wasn't going to close, but now we're in a seller's market. The thing's closing no matter what. Usually. So I always tell my attorneys, can we pull title and survey right now, right before I list the house? That way, we don't have any hiccups, because I have had title delays by 2, 3, 4 weeks. I just had one in December, and we had to give pre-possession to the buyer because the buyer wanted to move in before the holidays, and there was a title issue nobody knew about. So
this is it's amazing to me. So you have what, 3 different dates on your contract then?
Oh yeah. Yep.
So we used to have, when I first got in real estate, we had a bunch of different dates, but now we just have one. We have 2 dates, the closing date and the due diligence date. That's it. And the due diligence date, we fill in the blank. I usually do 3 weeks, but it says you have 3 weeks to do anything you want to do. But at the end of 3 weeks, at the end of that exact date, 5:00 p.m., time is of the essence. At that point, you're locked in. If you terminate after the due diligence date's over, then you lose your earnest money.
Yeah, and then our inspections haven't even really been a thing here, but I did have one on my street that I live on, that I had a deal for $558,000, and that was closing. It's supposed to close Tuesday, so I had the final walkthrough right before this, and that had an inspection because it had been on the market for a couple months, and they had 7 days to do the inspection, 2 days to negotiate, 2 days to review it, 2 days to negotiate it, and then once that's negotiated, that's removed too.
Now that's all in the contract, like it spells out like that, like
it's
7 days.
It's in an inspection addendum.
Oh wow!
And so it's a separate form. So you have a 7-page purchase contract. You have a 1-page delayed negotiation form. It states when you'll be reviewing all offers and when you're delaying showings till sometimes. I don't really like delaying the showings. I just delayed negotiations. I try to keep delayed negotiations to like Monday or Tuesday, try to list by Thursday. That way people can schedule it through the weekend. It seems to be like Tuesday's the new Monday, because Monday, we used to review things on Sunday and said, why are we doing this to ourselves during Sunday family dinner? Like, why are we reviewing offers when we don't need to? So we started pushing it back to Monday. But then Monday became all chaotic. And so everybody said, well, let's have buyers have a chance to talk to their banks on Monday morning, and then they'll put in offers and we'll have them do Tuesday morning. So a lot of times we have them do Monday afternoon, Tuesday morning.
That's awesome. So then are y'all overall, we'll start with Colleen. So you're seeing the market is picked back up. Is that what I'm hearing? Pretty much, I think I heard everybody say your days on the market might have gone up a little bit, but not much. Your prices are still going up. Multiple offers. Is that pretty
multiple
much
offers? The cold snap last week definitely slowed things for the week. And then I'm advising my sellers that aren't under a time crunch to list, let's look at the weather forecast and not list if we know we're going into a big snowstorm, or, as our sports teams do well, that distracts our city a lot. And so, that's delaying things just a little bit. But I listed a house recently and I'm selling for $150,000 over asking, super, super clean deal. There was just someone that really, really wanted this property. And so it's, I never advise a client to waive a home inspection, but they will often waive if they've bid 3 or 4 times, and that's why they lost the other offers. And it's a good house, and you can tell that someone maintained the home pretty well. So inspections are kind of rare because we're not putting that money in the process. I think if we had something more like North Carolina, where we had a due diligence, we had money at risk for the buyer, then the seller would be more like, okay, I'll take your offer with an inspection. But they'll take less money for a safer offer without that inspection.
So your buyers are buying it without doing it? I mean, because I understand not saying, okay, I'm going to buy the house, I'm not going to ask for any repairs to be done, but still do an inspection. But they're buying it and not doing an inspection?
Nobody's doing inspections
It's
before
rare.
they put an offer.
It's not for every house every time by any means. I mean, there's just houses have everything wrong. So maybe you're waiving the inspection because you're an investor and it's like a complete rehab. Or there's a house that that like you can tell all the mechanics are brand new because you can read the ages on them and you can tell that like it was a well cared for home. So it's not every house every time, but it is not uncommon for an inspection to be waived because we have no money in the process protecting the sellers. If something goes wrong and a buyer could just get cold feet and say, oh, the house across the street came on the market, I want to buy that. And they can cancel in my market for any reason at home inspection. They don't have to give an option to negotiate. And so they can just be like, sorry, check the box. I'm walking away.
But they can walk away anyway, right? Isn't that what y'all all said?
They can, but they have no money. So there's no financial risk. So like I said, it would be another house came on the market and that's why they want to walk away at an inspection.
Yep,
so I've had sellers take $20,000 less on a $300,000 house because they'd rather have the safer offer with no inspection.
But on the flip side of that, somebody does an inspection, another offer comes in, better offer, a seller's free to take that and the buyer's out their money. The seller
Not in Buffalo because we've already got the attorney approval. So the seller doesn't have a right to walk at that point if the attorney approval has been done.
Yeah.
But I think that's really interesting, Rich, because that was the other thing I learned from you is that you can negotiate it and you're waiting for the attorney to draft it and a better offer comes in.
better offer comes in, the sellers are free to do that. I'm getting a lot of buyers, agents are coming in and saying inspection for informational purposes only, but they do the inspection and they come up with something. So when that comes in, either you're doing no inspection, or you're going to do the inspection after we're in contract.
Wow.
Because, is what I'm doing. I'm not allowing them to do that. Informational purposes only, because that's BS, especially because there's nothing in writing holding us to that.
Wow.
And sometimes in my market, that because we have that delayed negotiations, I will have agents ask me, can I have like a longer showing appointment, or can I have an exclusive showing appointment so I can bring in a home inspector? So let me just get our seller's approval in advance and be like, hey, they want a private showing and they want a double length showing so that they can have a home inspection. Are you okay with that? And then I usually find out who the inspector is, make sure it's a licensed inspector. In New York, they have to be licensed. And, we'll give them that opportunity because then we know we're getting a strong offer from them most likely.
I think that is so interesting. I'm having the hardest time wrapping my head about buying a house, $1 million, $200,000, $500,000, and not doing an inspection.
I've sold a house over
inspection.
Yeah, even in New York City, they do. If the house is in the location that people want, that will get the deal done. So a lot of people, they're older, the homes, right? It's not like they're trying to hide anything to sellers, but they just don't want to deal with it. So if I have 10 offers on a $1 million house and it's a house that everybody wants, the one that waives the inspection, even the mortgage contingency, is definitely going to get that house.
Right.
Yeah.
I closed
it's
on a
not
house.
a problem. Yeah.
I had a closing yesterday. It was a $760,000 sale. No inspection, no appraisal contingency. And we closed yesterday. They're staying for free till April 1.
I did the same thing, a month for free. I could get you. It depends on the location and the demand for that house.
Mm-hmm.
Not even pay rent or taxes I've gotten because they want that.
No rent, no taxes, just utilities. That's all.
Yeah, we have these new things called cash guarantee letters. So it acts as cash, even though it's not cash. It's basically saying if you don't close within that time period, then the bank will buy it. And we have one bank here in town that waives appraisal on it too. So it's based on an appraiser coming in the house. It's not based on the value of the house. Wow. But the bank needs to know what the price of it is in case the buyer backs out because the bank would buy it. So it actually becomes like a double backing, which they think is better than cash, because if somebody walks out down the street, gets in a car accident, and all of a sudden, they pass away, they're not closing on the house, right? But if the buyer goes down the street and gets in a car accident, the bank's still buying the house. Wow. So people love the cash guarantee letters now because they're like as good as gold. But when we started doing that, because we started having to combat against relocation buyers from New York City and Brooklyn, from Philadelphia, from these high metro areas, and they would come and go, they go sell their house for $1 million, and they come here and spend $300,000, and our local buyers are like, why do I keep losing out by cash? We got to do something about this.
Oh,
the
that's a
local
good
bank
idea.
started creating these products called cash guarantees. Now they're starting to get a little bit, customizable. So it used to have 20% down money in your earnest money deposit. So if $300,000 house, you have to have $60,000 right away, right off top. You have to have that in your earnest money within 2 calendar days. But now some of these banks are doing like VA and FHA cash guarantees. They're still based on appraisal. So it's really, really important that we read these letters and go through them, offer to offer, because each offer is considered really different. But it's made it really difficult for the FHA, the government funded deals, because they're losing the conventional cash deals.
It's kind of sad for these buyers that have to use
No.
it. Right? Wow. Well, so in conclusion, I have a listing appointment, so I have to scoot. But let's get in conclusion. Now's a good time to buy in New York. It sounds like everybody's kind of in a seller's market still.
Yes, absolutely.
We're still full blown seller's market here.
Wow.
Yeah, I just had multiple offers on the house I put on. I'm searching for a $900,000 house or up to 900, and I'm searching in all of my area, and I have nothing to show them.
That's crazy.
Wow. And your average price point is 500, did you say, Rich?
My average price point is 500 to 600.
500 to 600, and you're 900, couldn't buy anything. Wow. Well, good. It's a good time to buy good time to sell in New York. A little bit harder to buy.
Always a good time to sell here.
Well, it's a good time to buy because of our rental prices. I mean, in New York City, it's a good time to buy, and your investments usually go up. So it's always a good time to buy in New York City.
I think it's a good time to buy in Buffalo too, because we have people moving because they love the idea of a freshwater supply with the Great Lakes water system there.
That's a good point.
And they don't want those extreme highs or extreme lows on the temperature. So our lakes insulate us from that. Like it's a refrigerator in the summer, but it's also kind of a heater in the winter, usually from getting those bitter wind chills that are bitter cold. So people are still moving to New York, and I think they will. I've also had people move because they like the rules. Like I had someone during COVID tell me they liked the public health and safety aspect that New York was offering them. And they had job opportunities in New York, so they took them. So there's good things in New York.
Yeah, there's a lot
And Bills. Let's go Bills.
Go Bills.
Sunday, I'm taking it.
Yes, there's a lot of good things. I have a surprise. I'm going to go out in my parking lot. I'm going to take a picture of something. I'm going to send it to all of y'all. Give me like 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
On your listing appointment,
Be well.
Jennifer.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
luck.
you,
Go
thank
get
Good
them.
luck.
You guys at
Bye,
R4.
guys.
Love y'all.
See you at
Everybody,
R4.
everybody at R4?
Yes.
Rich, no?
I don't think so. Not this year.
Why?
You're coming.
No. I don't think so.
Rich went to triple play for a day.
I did
Made
go
it to
for
triple play.
2 days.
2 days. Colleen, you went 2 days?
I only saw him once.
I surely saw you once, Rich. I saw you.
There's a lot of good people at Triple Play. A lot of people come from Remax all over.
Wow. Maybe I'll get. I was going to do that this year.
Had a good time. Yeah.
Shout out to Pam Yarder, who comes from Honolulu.
Yes.
Wow. That's awesome. Well,
We had Baker. Yeah, it was fun.
Awesome. Well, thank
See
you
you all
guys.
soon.
All right, see you
Bye,
soon.
guys.
I'll see you guys soon. Bye.